Namaskar. The subject is Microvita and their roles in the cosmic cycle of creation. In 1986, Baba introduced the subject of Microvita for the first time in a discourse, Microvita, the mysterious emanation of cosmic factor. This was a very exciting new idea. Baba explained that Microvita are subtle subatomic living beings that move throughout the universe, spreading minds, creating minds and bodies, and also spreading diseases in the universe. He said they are in positive and negative form and in different levels of subtlety. They move through different physical and psychic media, and they play different roles in the evolution of life and mind. So I'd like to look at what are some of the different roles that Microvita play in the cosmic cycle of creation. So let's briefly review the cosmic cycle of creation called Brahma Chakra. It begins with non-qualified supreme consciousness or Nirguna Brahma, which then becomes expressed by its infinite creative power into qualified supreme consciousness. That qualified supreme consciousness evolves the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind, now we understand, evolves Microvita, and it also evolves the physical universe. In the physical universe, it creates different levels of subtlety of matter, from ethereal factor to aerial, to luminous, to liquid, and then solid factor or solid matter. And that's where the cycle of creation turns a corner or turns around and starts to move back towards subtlety, evolving first life and living beings, individual minds and bodies. Those individual living cells become multicellular and evolve into animals and plants, more and more developed plants and animals to the stage of human beings, then more advanced human beings who are able to learn sadhana and complete the journey of their consciousness, their individual consciousness, and finally merge into non-qualified supreme consciousness, thus achieving the goal of individual human life. So how do Microvita fit into this cosmic cycle of creation? Well, let's take a look. Microvita, emanated by cosmic mind, are subtle subatomic cosmic intelligence agents that move and accelerate the cosmic cycle of creation forward at every stage, providing what is needed to evolve human beings and bring us back to the supreme consciousness through sadhana. Well, first, Microvita create the physical particles of matter from energy. They create the electrons, protons, and neutrons from negative Microvita, negative because those are pro-matter Microvita. The physical particles are created, and then atoms are created by combining the physical particles so that billions of Microvita are solidified to form a carbon atom. And all other chemical atoms are also formed from sleeping Microvita. The next stage is that life evolves from awakened Microvita from the atoms, forming viruses that carry the codes of DNA and RNA, the chemical codes of life and genetics are carried by these viruses. They must have obtained these codes from the cosmic mind itself when the Microvita were emanated. And the individual atoms also have a kind of primitive I feeling itself, which increases as atoms are combined together to form living beings. Well, then evolution continues, evolution of plants and animals, when more DNA and RNA is attracted by the desires and efforts of animals and plants to express different subtler propensities, so that more and more animals and plants of more complexity and subtlety are evolved. Human beings are evolved. Again, more DNA, RNA brought by viruses according to the collective desires of human beings, and human civilization and society develop. And Microvita helped there too, bringing ideas such as the wheel, the idea of a written script, and agriculture to society to help it grow. And finally, Microvita help human beings return to supreme consciousness by inspiring them and being the media of divine grace of the Supreme, which is a shower of love that spreads throughout the universe, but brings human beings back to oneness, to the Supreme Consciousness. So you can see that Microvita are playing crucial roles at every stage of the cosmic cycle of creation, starting with the cosmic mind and the creation of matter, up to the reunion of individual consciousness with cosmic consciousness. But we still would like to know from a scientific point of view, because Baba wanted research to be done on Microvita, how do atoms, for example, form viruses, bringing DNA and RNA to form life? Well, if we look at several statements that Baba made to one Dada, which did not get into the discourses, but I think are reliable. Let's see. When solid matter explodes at the atomic level, billions of microvita that have solidified to form the atom may awaken. Microvita are dormant in the atom and very small. When Jadasphota occurs, microvita awaken and take on a different structure. If the environment is changed, microvita change to suit the environment. That's how a tiny microvitum can change and become so large that it can be seen in a microscope. Microvita, when awakened, develop a personality that depends upon the environment. If Jadasphota takes place in a solution of Fe2O3, you will get one structure. The structure will be different in different environments. If it is in another structure, such as Fe3O4, it will be different. As the environment will affect the structure of Microvita, that structure will keep changing as Microvita move through different environments. So these statements are a key of how Microvita go from atoms to viruses. Microvita are composing the atoms, and atoms may be radioactive. Okay, a radioactive atom can actually decay by a kind of explosive process or Jadasphota to produce smaller nuclei and radiation. So the radioactive decay of an atom may be the way that Microvita are awakened and freed, some of them, so that they grow and become viruses that carry DNA and RNA that can then be used to create life. So this is a hypothesis, and it can be tested by an experimental approach where you take a piece of radioactive carbon, for example, and sterilize it so there's no life associated with it visibly, and put that piece of radioactive carbon in a solution of for example, this Fe2O3 or Fe3O4, put some basic simple chemicals with it and close it up, and then just watch it and see if living beings evolve on the radioactive carbon. If that happens, if living cells evolve on the carbon in an otherwise sterile environment, this will be a nice result for the theory of Microvita, because it cannot be explained by any materialistic paradigm. And it will indicate that there must be something like a cosmic mind that created Microvita that could generate life. So here's one hypothesis that could be tested, and there are many others. And so I'd like to leave you with these thoughts of Microvita being participating in all stages of Brahmachakra and also being subject to experimental testing. Thank you very much and namaskar.